So, I thought as my first live that I would share one of my illustrations from book 2, which is about to be launched, and that with my work, I have been working now for almost 50 years as an artist, and I don't know what that does here. Okay. And that my work here on YouTube is quite new, but I've been on TikTok for 18 months and have just over 10,000 followers, actually almost 11,000, and I thought I would just spend a couple of minutes sharing my work here. I have no idea how this works on YouTube, so I'm just experimenting. It looks to me like nothing's happening. So, oh, I see. Yeah, look, there's nobody there. So on TikTok, all these people would be told that I'm live, and that this is what I'm doing today. So I will just have a little chat, and I'm just going to tell you over the next few minutes what I've been doing, just to get something rolling. I've been an artist for 60 years and creating a legacy project for 50 years. I am a storyteller, a dyslexic storyteller, who has become an author of 9 books called The Realms of Elsewhere. And one of the many things that I'm doing is sharing the characters that I draw. These, for instance, are called boffins. They live in the sort of middle part of the Realms of Elsewhere. There are 32 countries, this is one of them, and there are many, many characters of one sort or another. And what I do as a creator, an illustrator, is to share my Realms of Elsewhere. I'm on book 2, and the second book is about to come out. This is actually the first book, called The Hidden Destiny, which came out in 2023, which I've obviously illustrated. There are 9 books in the series, and yeah, it's been very exciting. We've built a fantastic community on TikTok. My son got me onto TikTok and said, "Dad, you've got to let people know what you're doing. You can't just sit in your studio." And we had a video go viral, and 300,000 people saw the video, and I started to come onto YouTube recently and share my stories. We have about 300 films on TikTok, which just explain how I work and why I'm creating a huge story. As I say, this is a new journey. So these, for instance, are boffins, and these are characters who live in Elsewhere. They are very unusual. This is Boulderborn the 5th, ink boffin and wearer of the hat. And this is Master Quillet, who is a member of the Society of Quillers and Ink Boffins. And here, the one I'm doing, which is about to go to the Netherlands, this is Simeon Thilius, the bookkeeper and librarian. A lot of my work is very detailed and unusual, and I'm just going to finish this off because I've been painting it, and as I say, this afternoon I'm going to send him off to the Netherlands. And I was telling stories about how, as a storyteller, I would meet some unusual wonderful people, and some of them had dementia. And one of my jobs as a storyteller is to find out who they really are. Who are they under the mask of the dementia, really? And what can I find in them that will help their families? So that was an amazing thing. One of the stories that I told was of a lady who was upstairs in a nursing home, and the nurses said that she won't come down and join in the stories. She's new here, and we wondered if you would go up to her. So I said, of course I will. So I took my kora upstairs to her room. Kora is an African harp. And I sat at the end of her bed, and I just started playing the kora very quietly. And she was laying flat out on her bed, very still. And I said, hello, Deirdre. My name's Paul. I've been telling stories downstairs, and they said it would be nice for me to come up and play the kora up here for you. And she sort of smiled a bit. And I said, are you tired? And she said she was. And I said, so I understand, Deirdre, that you used to be a musician. And she didn't really say anything. And then I said, somebody said to me they'd seen a photograph of you playing a violin. Is that right? And she got a bit tearful. And I said, did you like playing the violin? And she just said very quietly, she said, yes, I did. I see, I said. And did you play it on a stage? And she looked up at me. As she was laying down on the bed and I was at the end of the bed, she kind of lifted her head a bit and looked at me. Yes, she said, I see. Wow. Did you love that? And she nodded, put her head back down. And I said, well, the interesting thing is, Deirdre, and I went on playing the kora. I said, the interesting thing is that very recently they found your violin, the people who work here, and they told me that you could play a violin once. In fact, they even showed me a photograph. And she was listening, and I went on playing the kora. And then I said, so, Deirdre, do you think I could have a look at the violin? It's in one of the drawers. And she very quietly said yes. So the violin was pulled out and held up. And I said, look, Deirdre, would you like to hold it? And she looked up again at me. And then she looked at the violin. Yes, she said. And the violin was put on her, so like in a horizontal way, so down from just underneath her chin, down past her chest and down onto her tummy. And she began to put her hands onto the strings and lay them there. And I said, they've found a lovely photograph of you. And it's such a beautiful instrument. And she by now was quite tearful. And I understand from your niece that you gave up playing quite a long time ago. Yes, she said, I did. Why was that? I couldn't play it, she said after a while. I couldn't play it. And she just sat there for a long time. And when I said, shall I stop playing the kora? She said, no, I like it. So we sat there for quite a while, with me playing the kora and her holding her violin. And then I said, so before I go, do you think that the violin could now stay out in the room? And she looked up And she looked at one of the nurses, the carers, I suppose you might call them. And she said, yes, I'd like that. And so that's what happened. And I would go and visit her from time to time. The violin was there. And sometimes she'd just lay down or she'd sit in the chair and hold the violin. And it was a reminder not to judge someone. This person had been, as it turned out, a really good violinist. And at some point in her late 50s, she got rheumatoid arthritis and couldn't play the violin to the standard that she was used to, and put it away. Became detached from her family, and now in her late 70s, in a care home, a little lost with having got dementia, that she then started to lose, I suppose you could say, lose herself. And, but from that time on until she died, she would always have her violin out in her room. So this is a boffin that I'm painting for you. His name is Simeon Thilius, the bookkeeper and librarian. I've written a book called The Hidden Destiny. I'm writing 9 books, and there are many, many, many characters in my books and many kinds of drawings. And just because this is the first live that I've done on YouTube, I've done lots and lots and lots on TikTok, but I'm starting to do them here. I thought I'd just show a few things that I've done. So this is a dragon. So this is watercolor and wash and gold. And yeah, I did that one on a live, and it's really important, in my opinion, to share what it is that you do. And as I say, I usually get around about 1,500 people coming onto the lives to see what I'm about, what I'm doing. Anyway, this is just a little test, just to get an idea of what it is that I could share on here. And I keep many, 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 many journals with lots of drawings in. Anyway, I've got to finish this boffin and send him off to the Netherlands today. So thank you for joining me, and I will be start doing a regular live on a Saturday morning at around about 9:30. Thank you for being here, and I will see you again.